Let's take a look at this. This is Rebecca, blonde in the belly of the beast. Her show called The Backlash, and she has several co-hosts. And they're live.
He had Vicky Weaver.
And so they're looking at the weapons of the anti-white terrorist. That individual, Robin, changed the name from Robert.
On one of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Vicky Weaver one circulating. I took a screenshot of that, though.
Where is your God? Suck on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kill Donald Trump.
Whose God? It would be the white man's God.
R.I.P.
There's kill Trump.
Air.
And then we had
it's all over the place. It's literally, you have like satanic.
Now, this guy talking right now, I think his name is Dave. He's one that I showed you. I made a clip of him specifically laying out his thought process, that he literally said he's not interested in the well-being of white people. He's interested in getting rid of Jews. And then a consequence of getting rid of the Jews will be that white people will have things better. That literally. Now, I was really grateful that he said that, and we got to make a clip out of it, because most of the time, these anti-Jew spurgs, they lie. They conceal that reality about themselves. So that's really what it's all about, just hating the Jews. And that's why these folks here on this show are very uncomfortable today, because this anti-white terrorist is also anti-Jew.
Symbols too.
Anders, McVeigh, Brenton Tarrant, who all had targeted attacks.
Also,
and then Israel must fall.
Like
Israel must fall.
Phoenix, we rise from the ashes. I saw there was like he had a smoke grenade.
6 million wasn't enough.
6 million wasn't enough. This is the kind of sickness that indulges. See, these people, they live in campers with their meth labs. All of these schmucks.
Born to shit, forced to white.
So these are, this audience of theirs is an audience that, the nicest thing we can say, they're not ready to do anything for white well-being, or they don't want to. They are invested in this kind of a talk for entertainment purposes because they've got nothing else to do. They're invested in it because their real objective is just hating Jews, and they want someone to prosecute the case against Jews. Hating blacks, prosecute the case against blacks. They often find allyship and common cause with Arabs who hate the Jews, trademarked, of course.
Ugh. That's there too. I mean, like, it's literally brain rot. This is like the first brain rot mass shooter where it.
It's just brain rot. It has nothing to do with him being anti-white and anti-Jewish. No, this Dave guy on the left there, he doesn't care about it being anti-white. What he does care about is he is an anti-Jew. But now he has to deflect. Now he has to say, this isn't about Jews and one's thoughts about Jews. There's nothing to, because we think the exact same thing about them here. We think 6 million wasn't enough here as well. But it has nothing to do with those thoughts. It's just brain rot. It's the first brain rot shooting. Somebody should tell their audience that we're making fun of them, that I'm making fun of them.
Literally just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. Here you have an individual who is inerrant, an individual that is anathema to white mores, created out of anti-whiteism, a product of anti-whiteism, his environment, a product of anti-whiteism. This Catholic school, anti-whiteism at the school, anti-whiteism. The mother who worked at the school, the Catholic school, what was it called? Annunciation or something? Annunciation Catholic Church School, whatever. Radically anti-white. Because obviously, if you're having a reading of the Bible, you can't change your sex. You can't start pumping yourself full of drugs to become something else other than the way the good Lord made you. And yet she was there and an authority figure in this establishment. Anti-whiteism has won. Stop pretending that it's something other than, stop deflecting. Stop thinking, stop cogitating about what else it might be. We've got it figured out. We know exactly what's happening and exactly how to remedy it.
We actually, look, the video is still actually online.
We can play a little bit of this.
I mean, it's just
10 minutes long, so.
Yeah, we're not going to play the whole thing, but I mean, it's just real.
We have, and here's something else I want to point out. As I stream over YouTube, I've got to be careful. There are so many things that could get my entire channel just deleted. Strikes, etc. Warnings, strikes, channel deleted. Big time. I've got to walk an absolute dental floss to continue to operate here on YouTube. But for some strange reason, like I heard, I guess it was before this point, as I was getting ready, I literally heard Rebecca refer to this anti-white terrorist as a troon, quote, end quote. If I were to use that slur against these wonderful people, this would be gone in the blink of an eye. It goes further than that. Everything I'm saying is being carefully monitored. Everything that's happening all across YouTube is being carefully monitored. They would know instantly if I breached any rules. But this anti-white terrorist making videos, live videos, by the way, it is one of the rules on YouTube that you cannot have a firearm on a live stream. This guy is pumping out live streams and videos full of firearms. Of course, you can have them on a video. This guy's pumping it out. He's the kind of things he's showing his manuscript. He's showing the kinds of things that everyone looking at this should be able to say, this is a very unhealthy individual. Anyone looking at it, and everybody's looking at it now. Thankfully, I don't know who it was. Was it Crowder and his crew? They were able to grab all of this information before the anti-whites at YouTube deleted the channel. This guy was talking about killing people and nothing. Why? Because that is anathema to white mores, Western civilization. Why is the Catholic Church, Christianity in general attacked? Because it's white. That's why. That's all it's ever been.
Really fucked up. Hold on, I gotta change my audio. The guy is absolutely nutcase. Are you?
He had some Trump stuff on there too, anti-Trump stuff.
Yeah. There's the Target with Jesus Christ on it. A lot of Cyrillic. What does it say? Yeah.
Now, they were saying that he wrote the manifesto in Cyrillic, but that he's not a native speaker. So he just translated it and wrote, I don't know, for a twist. Doesn't mean, I'm sure there are white people out there right now who are saying, he must be a genius. You know, this is such a product of this. It was with us before even Hollywood was a thing. This notion that geniuses, it entered into our entertainment. That geniuses had to be sick and screwed up and they couldn't be healthy and robust. And as a consequence, people show up and they look at me and they say, well, couldn't have figured anything out because he's clearly physically dominant, magnificent in bed, on and on, you know? And so clearly couldn't figure this out. The reality is you're not going to have, more often than not, you are not going to have a genius brain in a sick body. That's a creation of fiction. But what do we see out of the white population? Everybody's just horribly handicapped child is a genius. Have autism, can't function, but he must be a genius. Can't tie your shoes, but must be a genius. Therefore, a genius. So I guarantee you people are going to be saying that about this horribly injured with anti-whiteism, with chemicals, with I understand. And of course, all of this is subject to any correction in the news reportage moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. All of it is subject to that. But there have been claims that he had cancer of the lungs, which of course can be exacerbated by hormones. And he's vaping endlessly in videos and coughing and etc. So here you have somebody who is an absolute aberration, at war, in my opinion, with white norms, Western kind norms, our sensibilities. Guaranteed there are going to be white people say, but he was a genius, must have been a genius.
Where's the da-da-da? You know, kick a spick.
He just read that out loud.
It's not coherent.
I totally disavow the racial slurs that I don't know that are going to be happening.
Here. This is here's the gun where it says Vicky Weaver, right?
I don't know. My instinct is that.
Chat, do you have, what is that symbol here on the gun right above his thumb? What is this? I haven't seen that one before.
I read online it's some Nazi thing.
Really?
I don't know.
You would think like I would know about that. You would think that like one of us would like
know about it.
Know what this is.
Obviously, this is not a coherent worldview, which makes me suspicious. So my initial reaction, because I do this always, I'm like, this is
well, it's perfectly anti-white, Rebecca. It has perfect coherence. It is a weapon against our existence, our norms, and our physical existence. That's what it is. And the reason why she wants to say that, though, is because the three of them are trying to squirm out from underneath of all of their Jew-spurging, because that is exactly what Robin was up to doing as well. Probably a follower of Fuentes, which, if you recall, just a couple of weeks ago, Rebecca tweeted that if you're going to do alternative media, if you're going to be running live streams or doing news on the internet, alternative media, you'll have to be a follower of Nick Fuentes. That's almost verbatim from her tweet. Or she said, no one will think about you at all. No one will know who you are at all.
False flag attack. Leonardo Joni correctly pointed out, well, he didn't shoot up a synagogue. Mm-hmm. So how anti-Semitic could this guy really be? There is no coherent theology behind any of this.
Copium.
So I don't know. Maybe I should just take this at
the Jew-spurging is part of this. Absolutely.
Face value that this is some crazy.
It was obviously, you can see he went to a church to shoot up white people because it's white. So the anti-Jewish element of it is a part then of the whole that is anti-whiteism. This is the slow creep of including Ashkenazi Jews in with the white race that we've been talking about and we described a long time ago. But I mean, this audience, they're not really interested in having like a final answer and remedy for things. They just want to sit around and speculate endlessly.
Easy troon that lost it, but it is so much like Aubrey Hay.
Totally disavow that slur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also, let me pull this up too, because it's given me like Coeur d'Alene shooting vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys caught that. Let me see if I can find on my profile, if I do Canfield.
Speed it up.
This was the shooting that took place a little bit ago, right? I went to the post-incident response with the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And
come on, hurry up.
How similar the tone is between the two shooters. Because he's like, hey, Dad, thank you for everything you've done. I'm so sorry if this hurts. I'm sorry that I gave you dishonor.
You know where the big similarity is with, what was her, Audrey Hale. Audrey Hale. That's the big similarity. That was a anti-white female. And remember, thank God that Crowder's team got that information, because it wouldn't have been out there at all. Everybody's saying, oh, it's just about trans this, all the cucks out there. it's just about being trans. It's about, no, it was anti-white. The trans element of it, as I see it, my opinion, of course, is that it is an affront to the norm of Western kind, that you have men and you have women, and they have specific duties and specific behaviors, and we have specific expectations for. That's what anti-whiteism is at war with. It's just another manifestation of that war on Western kind, Western civilization. And then we end up seeing in the journals from this Nashville, who, what did she become, Aiden or something like this? She says she was. It was all, I went there to shoot up the little blonde kids. All right. Well, this is exactly like that, except we have somebody who was born male and decided that to be an affront, in my opinion, to our norms, he was going to, in many ways, he was going to be female. He was going to hate Christianity. He wasn't going to believe in the Christian God, of course, only because that is the religion of the white race, whether you practice it or not, or care or not. It is clearly the religion of the white race, the vast majority of us, and that's how it's seen by anti-whites. You notice he didn't come out against the God of the Muslims. He didn't come out against the God of all these. He didn't write at length about all of that. So it is anti-whiteism. This is a great example. There are so many examples. As I was listening and rushing to get together in this live stream, so many examples of what is, of all that is wrong with the white, explicit white sympathetic sphere. You have these notions that are non-starters. You have this mental masturbation. You have this pedantic prattling. You have this endless sermonizing and speculating about what things could be. And then when you have incidents like this, where somebody, some psycho anti-white shooter, you can't even call him what he is, because in his ramblings, he was also anti-Jew. So now you have to cope. Since you're anti-Jew, you have to cope and say, well, no, there's no thought process to this. It's pure brain rot, Dave says. The guy I showed to you months back, saying he really is not concerned with white people and our well-being. That'll just come after we get rid of the Jews, he says.
Honor, I bid you farewell. I hope that you'll live to the fullest extent, blah, 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 blah. You know, very similar to what this other guy did.
Who said pray for the children and their families.
Then you have all of the goofy, weird, satanic art, right? This is, you know, he's got his shotgun here.
Which guy is this? The Canfield guy?
No, this is the Coeur d'Alene shooter.
Okay.
Fighters says kill, kill, and then he drew himself dead. You've got the weird pagan symbols as well, right? That's, you know, him shooting himself. But then the other thing that's like really weird is you have things like
it's so obviously every single one of these things that these anti-white terrorists cite, say, embrace are so patently, obviously anti-white that it boggles the mind that anybody could look at it and come to a different conclusion. They have to try to shoehorn something in there. Oh, it's just anti-Christian, but they're not shooting up and bitching about black Christians. Oh, he hates Jews too. He says not enough of them were killed. Oh, well, then it has nothing to do with an ideology or what he thinks.
This, where he's very clearly like making his own runic alphabet. You see this?
This is schizophrenic.
I know it's schizo, but the similarities are there because this other shooter, this trans shooter from...
And how useful is it to not come to the conclusion, any of our victimization, to not come to the conclusion that it's anti-white? This doesn't happen with Jews, by the way. Just by the by, Jews don't come out and go to war against Jews that say that's harming the Jewish people is anti-Semitic, as they say it. I don't say the way they say it because I'm a man of the West living in our hero's story. But when Jews come out and say X, Y, or Z, so when Jews come out and say that this anti-white terrorist was anti-Semitic, no Jews are going to disagree. No Jews of any consequence. He said some negative things about Jews. It doesn't matter. He could have killed 1 million white children, and Jews would still come together. And this is something they do a lot better than us, something I consider very moral. Come together on the basis that this psycho was anti-Semitic. But white people can't come together on the basis that this guy was anti-white. No, it's just this is some kind of a strange monster, some kind of brain rot aberration that's a consequence of the devil or the Jews being present or etc. And therefore, he's harming all of us.
Today, he did the same thing. And then when you look at the gun, do we have it? Yeah, look, see, he wrote on his gun. He had the little inscription thing.
Maybe it's more simple. Can you pull up this tweet in the outline after? Is it this simple? I thought this was a really good take. Today's mass shooter from Minneapolis is a gender revolutionary named Robin Westman. In what appears to be his final letter manifesto, he confesses, "I'm not well. I'm not."
Yeah, I saw this on Twitter by Köhne. What is gender revolutionary? Is that a name they use for themselves? Somebody will have to figure it out. Tag me.
I'm a sad person. I've been suicidal for years. If you listen to anybody who's managed to recover from gender revolution, you will understand that this description is apt across the population. It's written all over their outward appearance, but here it's written on paper. The letter eerily concludes with the request to pray for the victims and their families that he would go on an attack today. That's how.
Why is I'm not saying anything saying that this guy's anti-white. Am I missing it?
Twisted, conflicted, and inside out these people.
In the white race, joke. We are the only good white people.
Minds are not this person's mind, these people's minds. We must reject the institutional push to treat insanity as a higher form of humanity. It's hard to sympathize with a population that so regularly makes monsters of themselves, but the truth is that our normalcy averse culture has helped make them the monsters that they are, and so on.
What was the normalcy of what? Normalcy averse. So this abstraction, the normalcy averse. How useful is that? Not useful at all. Yeah, I could see the Jews doing that, coming up with an abstraction for anti-Semitism, as they would call it. They would say, no, it's not anti-Semitic. It's actually normalcy averse, non-starter.
That are normalcy averse people like this guy. We're seeing people like the Canfield shooter that are kind of on the fringes of society. Their mental health is bad. They've experienced some kind of sexual or gender indoctrination, and this is just what manifests from this kind of disturbing upbringing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. And also, where is the family?
Yeah,
where's the family in this? Well, we know where the mother was. We know that the mother actually worked for the church, the Catholic Church there in Minnesota. Who is calling me?
Yeah, and she allowed her kid to drown himself. So obviously, you know that they're delinquent in their duties. Cameron, what do you think about this?
So it sort of brings to mind a book.
We'll hear what he has to say, because he's like their go-to pedantic prattler.
That was written by Richard Weber, called Ideas Have Consequences. And in that book, Weber says that every man participating in a culture, every man, woman, what have you, has 3 levels of conscious reflection. He's got a specific idea of things.
All right. Let's go. Let's hear it.
His general beliefs and convictions, and then his metaphysical dream of the world.
Oh, okay.
So those 3 things combined help.
It's metaphysical. Now, you can get back to packing them potatoes up.
Or in this case, disorient you in the world. So with that quote in mind, I think there's 3 things. The first is that mind viruses, I think, are real. And I know, Rebecca, I sent you a couple articles about this. There's been some debate, which is well-founded.
Not anti-whiteism. It's just mind viruses. Well, you know what? The mind virus is anti-whiteism. And each of the ideas we refer to as meme pathogens. And we know how to address them. You can't get rid of them, but you can negate them to a greater and greater degree. No, don't talk to that guy. Don't talk to that community.
Because as I think both of you know, and the audience probably does at this stage too, I think propaganda is overstated most of the time. I think people.
So the concepts that are being conveyed, overstated. There's this mythical, metaphysical virus of the brain.
Will have the wherewithal.
What can you do with that information?
See through it. But this is an example of a mind virus that's self-destructive. And obviously, we've seen the result of that. And obviously, it can scale to a whole population, a whole society, a whole civilization. That's something we're contending with now. The second, though, which I think is to some degree a positive takeaway, is that this sort of virus itself is extremely lethal and self-destructive. Again, those that are out there that are sort of convinced, that are black-pilled, that our plight as Westerners in this day and age is basically to watch our society collapse. No, I think we're going to watch the left disintegrate. Their minds are fragile. These people are.
The John Birch Society back in the 50s, they were saying, we're going to watch the left crumble. They're going to devour themselves. I've been hearing, 3 decades worth of them saying they're going to go out of existence because they abort their babies and they just shut up. Shut up already.
Vulnerable. And people that are fragile and vulnerable, they don't survive. They don't last. They're not able to sustain themselves. So evil in this sense is going to self-destruct. The third thing I would say is that I think that the biggest problem that it illustrates.
I could just see one of these audience members showing up and they're like, let me explain it to you. Evil is just going to self-destruct. Then there'll be a fall and then we'll take over. Yeah, how are you going to survive that fall? By the way, the John Birchers saying everything was going to fall 5, 10 years, 15 years from 1950. Everything was going to fall. But no mind to that kind of argument. But the real question I have is, how are you going to survive during the fall when you can't get your blood pressure medication and you can't get the various medications you need for your STDs and you can't get your hypertension and you can't get on and on? You're not.
Is that there is, and Dave sort of hinted at this, a vacuum in our society, right? All we've got, basically, whether you're in the United States or in Western Europe, is the state and whatever the state says. But that creates a spiritual vacuum, right? Particularly if the state itself has nothing to really offer except anti-culture, right? Or the suppression.
Anti-culture, the abstraction of what we project into the world. Why would you do that, Cameron? That culture is ours. Western culture is what we create. Don't turn it into an abstraction of this generalized anti-culture around planet Earth so that you could have these people presumably in Cambodia. And it's functioning. It's the exact same abstraction at work. We have Tammy saying gender identities, including transgender, non-binary people that challenge traditional binary concepts of males and females. So what is the traditional concept? It's the white concept. It's our projection into the world. That's what normalcy is for us. What Jewish people project into the world, that's normalcy for them. What black people project into the world, that's normalcy for them. There is no generalized global normalcy delivered to all of us by the normalcy fairy.
Of anything that's metaphysical, like Christian values or Christianity itself. So these
Christian values vary depending on the race practicing the Christianity.
People who are vulnerable, who are fragile, who are feasted upon by these mind viruses are also swimming in a society that's completely vacant. So there is a total spiritual failure. And if anything, what this should communicate is that you have a lot of people out there that are desperately looking for orientation. We've got to provide that for them. Otherwise,
how are you going to do that?
These mind viruses are going to kill them off.
And next Wednesday, there'll be another cause for what's killing them off. That'll be what they talk about.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting a phone call, and so that kind of like hit the Cameron's point. There is a spiritual sickness that's going on. Yes, we get it. But so the kid's mother is at the church. She's working for the church. The kid obviously would have gone to mass there. He had written on his gun, this is my flesh, eat it, all of you. So like he knows at least something of Catholicism, right? But here lies the failure.
Fernola's right. That guy's Cameron's bad as Gad said.
This mother who worked for the church is sitting here signing off on the paperwork to change her son's gender.
She signed off on the paperwork to change the son's name from Robert to Robin.
Right? From Robert Westman to Robin Westman, right? This is a problem, obviously. And it's a lack of fatherhood. Mm-hmm. It's a lack of leadership.
Where's the dad in all this?
Where's the dad? Where's the priest? Where's the bishop?
None of that matters because the woman wears the pants. She's in charge.
Right? Like, why is this going on?
Because of anti-whiteism.
Is this more widespread in the school? I was online and I saw that there were comments apparently that were being made back during the BLM era that were saying that the priest was
I think there's something really poignant here. And I think in the coming days we'll appreciate it more. that the Jew haters, the Jew spurgs, the schmucks, the anti-non-whites, as much as they hate on these other groups, and specifically the Jews, we see a Christian school being gunned down. And the terrorist who's killing or attempting to kill all these white children is also anti-Jew. That's something we're going to have to like chew on and think about for a while. Because the reality is that you can be anti-Jew and murder white people, obliterate white people. The two can be one and the same. And you see it in this anathema to Western kind and Western civilization. It's also a bit delicious, I have to say, that all those years ago, when I was looking for names for us, instead of just white race, and certainly European doesn't work. We've talked about that, why that doesn't work, and on and on. But then I arrived at, we are Western kind. There is human kind. There is Western kind. And then I wanted to be able to refer to the individuals. So I thought, Hugh-man, West man. And I said, that works. And then the plural is men, M-E-N. West men, West man. Yes, this works. It went down in my leaflet that I would hand out at these get-togethers before the internet was robust enough to carry. You remember I showed you the video in 1994. I was long attending, going out to these meetings. 94, when the people on mainstream talk television had no idea what the internet was and what you could do on it. So I was going out and handing these things out. I then discovered at some point later that Westman, M-A-N, was a uncommon, not super rare, but uncommon surname. So I have drunk in the deliciousness of these Jew spurgs showing up and slandering me, saying how, quote, gay and etc., cringe Westman is, and that no one would ever use that. No one would ever. So it's only could have been conceived by the no white guilt guy. He's such a loser. And the entire time I'm thinking, that's a surname, you POS. It's so, quote, gay.
Bigot. And it's like, oh, you mean he teaches like the faith and you have a problem with that?
Right.
Like, oh, okay, got it. So I don't know if they got rid of that priest and a new one has moved in and it's a liberal one or whatever. But, you know, the other thing that
they're all anti-white because the seminaries are anti-white. We looked into that years and years and years ago. I went to speeches 25 years ago, not long after I was first involved, where all of these old timers are talking about how the seminaries had been taken over. They're radically anti-white from top to bottom. And so nothing coming out of there is going to be anything but anti-white. They were very interested in this because even all the way back then, just like now, they kept talking about Christianity is going to save us. And meanwhile, I had been going to church and I was like, it's anti-white. They interpret the Bible and Jesus Christ and everything through the lens of anti-whiteism. You're going to have to find another option. You're going to have to overcome the psychological warfare that is anti-whiteism. Christianity can't do it because it fell to it.
strikes me about this whole thing.
So think about this, though. Really think about this. We really need to chew on this for a while. Maybe make it one of the topics in the Shade Tree spaces. That anti-Jews can be mass murderers of white people. That's what you can get out of the anti-Jew spurging. I was getting tired of their voices. I think they're still alive, but that was earlier on in their live stream. Tag me with your thoughts. I mean, maybe we'll jump back, but I do want to go ahead and jump on this. Sloth said while he was listening to Cameron, wow, thanks, Professor. That guy almost made me barf. Oh, man. I just wanted to bungee into that audience over there and what they were saying, because I was really curious. This Robin had said some really anti-Jew things. And I was just curious, how do you link up the anti-Jew sentiment, the Jew spurging is a good thing when your mass murderer of white people is also an anti-Jew. And we got to end up seeing how they deal with it, how they cope. They say it had nothing to do with what he thought about. It had nothing to do with his opinions. He just has brain rot and mental disease. Minneapolis shooter, ID'd as trans woman Robin Westman, as apparent manifesto included "Kill Trump." The deranged gunman who slaughtered 2 children and injured at least 17 others at a Catholic school in Minneapolis has been identified as transgender woman, as disturbing videos posted by the shooter show a handwritten manifesto and "Kill Donald Trump" and "For the Children" scrawled on gun magazines. This is the consequence of anti-whiteism. This is not possession by the devil. I can't believe that it's 2025 and there are people that are this simple. This is what are you going to do? Possession by the devil. We can address right now functionally anti-whiteism. At a Catholic school in Minneapolis has been identified as transgender Robin Westman, formerly Robert, opened fire through the stained glass windows of a church at the Annunciation Catholic School, where they're saying here that he did attend there as well. So even more of a link to Audrey Hale. Isn't that interesting? So how are you producing effectively the exact same person? This is a factory that is anathema to all things that are our norms and our standards. Our norms and our standards are us. And when we accept that, we will defend them. If they are abstractions, you have tragedy of the commons and nobody does anything about them. But why listen to the no white guilt community? Why listen to them when you can hear about, I was reading in Peter Bartholomew the other day, and he said that it's due to 4 things. And next week, it'll be somebody else. He said it's due to 4 things. And I'm so very learned, and I can share this with you. And you're going to be entertained and feel very smart before you get back to filling the potato sack, because it has to get shipped off to the grocery store. The thing is you can be a potato sack filler and a hero in our story. You are a LARPing loser if you are entertaining notions that are totally immaterial, abstractionized, you can't do anything with. During a celebratory back-to-school mass with children around 8:30, this is not about being anti-Catholic. This is about being anti-white. It's only anti-Catholic because it's anti-white. It's only anti the norms of male and female because it's anti-white, in my opinion. Just hours before the cowardly massacre, Westman 23 posted a series of twisted videos on YouTube, which included a manifesto. Minneapolis Police Chief O'Hara confirmed at a press conference. In the 20-minute video, Westman flips through the disturbing handwritten manifesto, much of which, and he's like totally muttering to himself. The entire, he's like, then he takes out a dagger and stabs the book. Once again, the YouTube algorithm is going to find me in half of a blink of an eye. But that's perfectly good and normal because it's anti-white. Much of it is written in a homespun code that uses Cyrillic characters and English phonetic words. In the deranged writings, so he can't even spell. And how do you get to this point? A 20-something-year-old can't spell at all. The erasure of our norms for education. Mothers being in charge of the house and in charge of the children and saying, whatever makes him happy, whatever's going to make him happy in the moment. And of course, that's not what makes him happy. That's the pursuit of the phantom of happiness, because they're never happy once they have those things. It's on to the next. He gleefully fantasizes about being the scary, horrible monster standing over powerless children and confesses admiration for the Sandy Hook massacre. Westman applied to change his name from Robert to Robin when he was 17, according to court documents, which he couldn't do by himself, and that's why the mother had to sign on to that. The petition added that Westman identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification. But 5 years later, he seemed to have backed away from that identity. So I guess he didn't reach his happiness, Mom. He didn't reach his happiness. That was going to make him everything good and happy. So it's almost like he's in the pursuit of the phantom of happiness. Why listen to me, though? I'm in shape. I'm physically in shape. I have a chiseled body and six-pack. Must mean that I'm not very intelligent. I really like my outfit. I look pretty smart and modest. I think I want to wear something like this for my shooting. I guess it's he said. He also goes into great detail about his decision to target Annunciation, where he graduated in 2017. Looks completely out of step with Western civilization. His mother, Mary Grace, sounds like a good Catholic name, also worked as a secretary at the school until 21. I am feeling good about Annunciation. It seems like a good combo of easy attack form and devastating tragedy. There are just going to be more and more of these until the white race becomes a people and we defend ourselves. There's going to be more and more Scottish girls, to tie it to that story, that are going to have to break out a hatchet and a steak knife to defend themselves because white men are not coming together as a people, and white women are not joining them as a people. I have concerns about finding a large enough group to shoot. I want to avoid parents, but pre- and post-school drop-off. Maybe I could attack at an event at the on-site church. I think attacking a large group of kids comes from saying this on YouTube. Then from there, I can go inside. So I think a large group of kids coming in from recess is my best plan. Then, after shooting a bunch of them, I can go inside and kill, going for as long as I can. Near the end of the video, Westman flicks through a number of blank pages before reaching what appears to be a drawing showing the inside of the church. And there are his very delicate hands that haven't seen a day of work, that haven't seen not even a day of chores. Not a single day. They couldn't be softer. They couldn't be more delicate. Look at him here. And there he is in another video titled "So Long and Thanks for All the Fish." Westman slowly turns the pages of the red notebook, which is laid out on top of what appears to be a schematic gun diagram, one of them reading Ruger Mark IV. As he flips the pages, an occasional plume of smoke is seen from the bottom of the screen, punctuated by heavy coughing, disjointed cursing, and maniacal giggles. This is the absolute personification of the anti-white monster. He is at war with all things Western. What was his experience? Well, he was going to a Catholic school, a Western environment, although heavily white erased. And so that is where he directed his anti-whiteism. Do people understand this? What about Audrey, who became Aiden? What kind of a school was that? It wasn't Catholic. It was some variety of Protestant. Was it Baptist? So her experience with Western civilization was through the Baptist church and that Baptist school, if that's what it was, if it was Baptist. And so who did she go to war with? Western civilization in the form of the Baptist school. What was left, of course, of Western civilization and white people? Specifically saying, I'm going to kill all the little blonde kids. So in both cases, do we have, in one case, a person who is anti-Baptist, and in another case, a person who's anti-Catholic? No. In both cases, we have people who are anti-white, and they are interacting with the West as it touches them in their lives. This is not brain rot. This is not some arbitrary brain rot. This is not some arbitrary, intangible mind virus to chat about on this Wednesday. This is a very specific ideology that has very predictable outcomes that we articulate here. And not only that, a dialogic that we use to overcome that anti-whiteism. I need to get my thoughts out without getting on a watch list. Ha! There's the mother, Mary Grace. Good Catholic woman, just indulging the son's anti-whiteism, which she's, of course, anti-white herself, or this could not even have happened. The journal contains a number of other subtle clues about Weston's identity, hitting at an angry melange of far-left politicians and anti-Semitism. Haven't seen anti-whiteism mentioned here in the New York Post. Didn't see anti-whiteism mentioned on Rebecca's show, The Backlash. So where are the people who are standing up for the white race? Extra, he's gas the Jews it has here on the smoke grenade. Israel must fall. So fascinating that anti-Jew spurgery can go hand in hand with the anti-white terrorism of gunning down white children. So is the anti-Jew spurging, especially that this Dave said when we showed the clip a couple months back, does that automatically end up in well-being for white people? It seems like you can be anti-Jew and gun white children down at the same time. No wonder the anti-Jews are drinking heavy doses of copium. In another entry, he writes, if I carry out a racially motivated attack, it would be most likely against filthy Jews. Close quote. But he goes and shoots up white kids before calling the Jewish people entitled, penny sniffing, before adding, finally, free Palestine, the cause du jour of all days for the anti-Jews. Free Palestine. He writes, I hate fascism. And fascism is just a euphemism for the white race. I also love when kids get shot. I love to see kids get torn apart. Did he talk about black kids getting blown away? Did he specifically say love to shoot them some black kids? Loves to shoot them Palestinians. Does he love it when the Jews shoot Palestinian kids? We see these claims all the time online, and they show these horrific images of Palestinian children blown to little pieces. Would this guy enjoy and celebrate that? With the Free Palestine? I think not. So I wonder what kids he's talking about. This doesn't take, being a 30-year veteran, 40-year veteran detective to dig into it. But maybe it does. Where's Sherlock Holmes when you need him? Because apparently you need that to figure this out. Great Fernald says, good point. Big salutes. The manifesto sheds light on what appears to be truly disturbed mind. Yet this is what happens with anti-whiteism. There's a whole spectrum. We're going to talk about, when we talk about a spectrum, we're not talking about autism. When we talk about a spectrum, we're talking about the effects of anti-whiteism on white people. You know what these losers were doing, the Jewsburgs? They all were immediately saying that he was a Jew. Immediately they were going out, he's a Jew, he's got to be a Jew. And they've been trying their damnedest to confirm that the son of this Catholic going woman is a Jew. Out of their way. It's so ridiculous. These people are children. There's no hope if this is where the white race stays. No hope for us. He mused about a grand final act, stating a desire to cut out a target of political or societal significance. So remember that at one point, maybe you heard, maybe you didn't. At one point, he says, this has nothing to do with politics. It has, and that's the point of what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with anything. That is clearly a self-interested statement. This motherfucker is anti-white as all hell. He is anti-white as all hell. And what? Before he goes, he's like, it has nothing to do with any of that. Except here I say, I want to cut out a target of political and social significance. He also said the shooting would culminate in his death and complained about apparent health issues. Here he is. This is on the YouTube video where it clearly is a drawing of some portion of this Christian school, church school, Catholic, and he pulls out a knife and stabs it. Nothing from YouTube. Of course, he idealizes other mass murderers of white children. He idealizes the hell out of them. I wonder why he didn't mention any of the mass shooters of non-whites. Could it be because he's anti-white? Don't talk to that Jason guy. We've got some deep thinking going on over here. We've got some real deep thinking going on over here with mind virus, speculation about a mind virus. Gun magazines were scrawled with "for the children." Which ones? The white ones. Not the Palestinian ones. Not the black ones. So, of course, this monster killed himself. This is not some elaborate world government plan to take away our right to self-defense. I know so many cucks are going to go that direction. I just had an interaction with a Canadian woman claiming to be for Donald Trump and MAGA, true to form conservative. And she was saying how despicable it is to object to the victimization of white people as a group. Despicable. Saying things like, where are your Klan robes? At the same time, she argued that some group out there called they are poisoning our pineal god gland. This is true to form for conservative politics and thinking. So many of them. The obvious thing right in front of you, the anti-whiteism is everywhere, everywhere you turn. But that's evil to notice, and it's not happening. And if you complain about it, the thing that's not happening that you see everywhere, well, then you're a Klansman. You're a white supremacist. This is the conservatives. But some intangible, invisible thing by some otherworldly, world-dominating, backroom, smoke-filled, are busy poisoning our God gland. Let's check out Mary Grace, mass shooter, the mother of the anti-white terrorist who killed 2 students and injured 17 others at Annunciation Church, the Catholic school in Minneapolis, was an employee, police said. While the motives of transgender Robin Westman remain unclear. It's just so foggy. Just like Audrey Hale, we have no idea. It's so bizarre. Guaranteed, you're going to be seeing articles about it being anti-Semitic. Guaranteed. Jewish people are out there talking because this Robin was critical of Jews. So it's going to be anti-Semitism. Guaranteed it's going to go down in the FBI logs as an anti-Semitic attack, as anti-Semitic terrorism. And then guaranteed people like on the backlash are going to be complaining about the Jews getting their way again. So it remains unclear. Police identified the suspect's mother as Mary Grace Westman, who spent 5 years working as a secretary at the Annunciation School until she retired in 21. And there is the little one that just needed to be coddled and just need to be given every single thing that would make him, he'll be happy. He'll be happy that way. Of Mary Grace, somebody says she has provided such wonderful hospitality, friendship, and compassion to all who gathered for the last 5 years. So I want you to think about this. In this school, in this particular Catholic church, and this is everywhere in Christianity, here is a woman so anti-white, as a devout, as a regular, as she's been said elsewhere. And yet the Catholic Church didn't fix the problem. And yet Christianity didn't fix the problem. These anti-whites are replete in Christian churches. Mormon, Protestant, Catholic, they're everywhere. I've been to all of them. I engage them in conversation. They're all anti-white. Yet again, another proof that the young men today just need to go and start worshiping at this church or that church and find what? Where do these preachers come from? Where do the deacons come from? Where do the popes come from? Are they from another planet? Because if they're from this planet, they're going to be anti-white.